That's why we have to pay attention more than anyone, because we have to figure out what
Well,
everyone else does.
here we are. Apparently, we're live. If you're just joining us now, I'm bitching about it being dark in the morning when I wake up and dark when I get home from work. So I'm afraid of the dark. I hope yesterday was awesome. Hope it was so good for you, and I hope tomorrow's twice as good as that. We're going to talk about how to win today. Now, this is interesting. Julie, you mentioned yesterday, make small promises or something to that effect, and then keep them, or look for opportunities to make promises that you can keep. I was thinking about that most of the day. It struck me as something that's just a rock solid mindset. I've noticed this morning I was a little manic, kind of like you, Julie, perhaps, and I'm trying to make my coffee. Normally, I stick a cup in a thing and I hit the brew. But I've gotten away from that. I've gotten to the complicated version of coffee, which is a Mr. Coffee, where I've got to get a filter and then pour the ground up beans into the thing. But I got to empty the old filter, clean it out, get the water, the right amount of water, not too much, not enough. Oh my God, how much water is required for this damn coffee? Put in the grounds. I spilled the grounds. There's no broom. Why is there no broom? So you can see where my morning's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got the damn coffee. There's coffee. It looks like a tornado, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, those poor people up in North Carolina, Georgia, wherever, are living crazy lives, and I can't get coffee in a Mr. Coffee. And God damn it, it's dark. So yeah, it's been one of those mornings. But I realized that when I'm manic like that, and I'm yelling and screaming, it's a mindset issue, right? And my mindset's right out in front. Look at this. Where's the broom? Oh my word. Oh, why is it dark? Why there's no broom and it's dark? It's my mind, the little devil on my shoulder screaming, why is it so goddamn dark? Like, who cares, right? But my other shoulder, the angel, is busy looking for a broom, apparently. And then so I jump on Facebook to put a note about this, and it says compose. When you're going to write something, it says compose. And I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? And it got me thinking about mindset again. And I wrote a post. So I woke up in the middle of the night because anyway, I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote my damn post. And the post was about making a promise and keeping it. What an unbelievable opportunity that is. And I started thinking about it. You make these big promises, like you're going to build a wall and somebody else will pay for it. Cool. And those get people excited, no doubt. But I think it's the small promises that we make all the time, and both the promise giver and the promise receiver just kind of blow them off as, yeah, that'll never happen, right? But then when they do, it's and I start thinking how it feels when the handyman says they're going to be there at 5 and they show up at 5.
Right.
Or when the something says it's going to be ready in 10 minutes, it's ready in 8 minutes. Right? And it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good about that person. It makes me feel good about the system. It makes me have confidence. It gives all this kind of stuff. And I'm willing to pay a few extra bucks. If I pay an extra $20, will you be here on time? I don't even care what time you tell me. Just be here when you say you're going to tell me. I'll do it. And I'll feel good about it. And I'll tell other people about it. Hey, use this guy. He'll show up. Use her. She does what she says. All those things. And then it just comes back around where if you can find an opportunity to tell somebody you're going to do something and then do it, the benefits to you are extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. Even if they're the small things, probably especially if they're the small things. Because it's just amazing how that works. And it works in business. It works in your relationships. It works in everything. So when you said that, Julie, look for the opportunity to keep a promise. I think that's a wonderful starting point for every single day. Like I just said to Gil, I promise I'll clean up that crazy ass mess out there in a little while. I got to do this first. So, yeah. So that's what I wrote about. I promise you guys, I'll be here every dang morning, sometimes better than the others, but we'll be here. We'll be talking about how you can do your business and grow your wealth. So there you are. Mark, what do you got on that?
I've heard it said that commitment is doing what you said you would do long after the feeling in which you committed to do it has evaporated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's following through. It's easy to pledge.
Oh yeah, everybody can make the promise.
Yeah. But doing it when that feeling in which that's the key, is leaning into it until you can't do it any other way. And that's the pushing through. I mean, by nature, we're designed to not change, to be efficient, to keep status quo. But I think that we've got to embrace that it's hard, but keep that commitment, keep the promise, and the rewards are always there.
Infinite. They're infinite. Let me ask you this: is lead follow-up a promise? Kind of is.
Yeah.
Kind of is. Keep that promise. The number one money leak for real estate agents is lead follow-up. They make a promise, I'll talk to you here, I'll do that, I'll be here, or whatever. And then they either don't, forget, cracks in the process, whatever. Destiny, what do you think?
I think it's important to keep that promise. I like what Julie said yesterday. Remind them that you're keeping the promise while you're talking to them. Hey, as promised, I'm calling you back today, to follow up with you, or as promised, here's the information that you requested. And I think that just makes them feel a little more special, warm and fuzzy, and want to work with you because you remembered and kept your promise. So I think that's important, just to reiterate to them, as promised, here's what I told you I would do. I show up for you.
So good.
I think there's also an aspect when you're eliciting that from others. Stop asking, can you, and ask, will you? One is a possibility. The other is a commitment. Can you take out the trash? Well, of course I can. Doesn't mean I will.
Yeah.
Will you? Great. When will you? And asking those of others as well. Ask that of yourself. Not can I, but will I?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Julie, what do you think of this? What other promises can we look for when we're out in our day and lives that will make a big impact when you deliver on them?
So that's the thing, is look for opportunities to keep a promise. That's what I said. And
I'll be there at 5.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We're so used to people underperforming, overpromising, and under-delivering. And so if you keep all those small promises, what that does is that buys a little bit of real estate in people's minds as someone they can count on. And, like you said, John, if I have a handyman who says he's going to show up at 5 and he shows up at 5, or how about 5 to 5? We're super duper impressed with that. And think about that. Compare yourself to other people. This is the one instance where I'll say compare yourself. Usually it's not a good idea. But what are they doing? Are they even making promises? And so when you keep those small promises, people are going to remember how that made them feel. And you hear that all the time. People don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel. So look for opportunities to keep promises. I was at the Lexus dealership and I was so impressed because I show up in my...
You knew where the Toyota place was?
They're the same. Yeah, no. Anyway, I have a warranty on my vehicle. And so I just go in every time they call me, it shows up on my dash. But my appointment's for 7:30. I show up at 7:20 and the guys come running up to the car. Who's your service manager? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, she's with somebody. We're so sorry. And I'm like, well, I'm early for my appointment, whatever. Let me take you to the coffee shop. I go to the coffee shop. They make me coffee. They give me a little, egg sandwich, whatever. And 2 minutes later, my service manager shows up and says, I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. I'm like, you should have waited longer. I'm not done eating. I'm like, I'm so impressed with this level of service. And it's the little things that really make people happy. So, like I said, look for opportunities, keep promises, then keep them. And as Destiny said, when you speak with them, as promised, I'm following up with fill in the blank.
Hey, Mark, specifically, what is a good promise we can look for? I think it is, I'll give you some examples. The lead follow-up is a good promise. Appointments, be there on time is a good promise. Maybe be prepared when you show up is a good promise. Maybe that's not it. Maybe you should just say, Okay, what is next, right? You always end every conversation. Okay, what's next? All right, let's have an appointment at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, I'll be there and I'll be prepared.
Well, I think there's another piece, which is we don't think of our systems as a process of keeping promises. When we have an email, maybe it's a newsletter that goes out on time every time, people go dependable, clockwork. When
consistency is a promise, then.
The consistency is a promise. When we say I'm going to call you twice a year at these intervals to do a real estate review on your property, it's a system that consistency begins to say, I can depend on you. And we miss when we're haphazard, when we aren't systematic, we're missing those opportunities to say, I'm bankable.
Love it. Love it. So here's another one I'm thinking about. What promises can we make to ourselves, right? That make all the difference. Okay. I'm not going to eat the whole pizza. Maybe I'll only eat half. Promise.
That's the next level.
Fingers are crossed. Oh, yeah, that's it, right.
That's the next level up. That's when you mature. So
is that what it is? Is that maturity?
No, the point I'm making is when you make promises to others, I'm going to be there on time. This is the appointment. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to drop you off. I'm going to be on time. It's easier to keep promises to others, and it's far more difficult to keep promises to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So when you make appointments to do something with yourself, it's easier to blow that off because who are you accountable to and who knows about it? I mean, depending on what it is, who cares? And the promise you make to yourself generally when you're calendaring something in your appointment is for your success or your goals or your vision for your family, for your children, for your spouse, for your future. And it's easier to blow those promises off, not realizing what you're giving up. Mm-hmm. But when you're accountable to someone else, we do things better. So that's why you have to recognize that making a promise to yourself is also just as important.
Like lead gen. I'm going to lead gen every day this week. Promise. Monday it blows up. Right?
Can I throw out a weird one?
Oh, boy. Yes, I hope you do.
I recommend finding a plant and making a commitment to care for that plant. The plant can't give you anything back, but it's the focused discipline of saying, I will care for this thing, that it moves out into other areas. When you are focused and master the little things, it moves out to other things. And I found that many years ago in my private practice. I looked over one day and I had this plant that was withering and dying in my counseling office. And I went, what message am I sending? And by focusing on bringing that back to life and nurturing, I said, that's going to be the healthiest thing. It impacted my counseling because everything said, I'm going to make sure I deliver on the process of care. So those are little disciplines that set our mindset to realizing it's the little things that make the biggest difference.
Okay. I got another one here for y'all. To win the day, because that's why we're here. We want to figure out how we're going to win the day today, right? When you leave here, write down 10 opportunities to look for. Because if you're not looking for something, you're never going to see it. When you start looking for it, they'll start to show up. So I want you to write down on a sheet of paper what opportunities to look for where you can keep your promise, right? Could be lead follow-up. That's an easy one. Could be lead generation time. I promise to myself, I'm going to lead gen from 9 to 12 or whatever. I'm going to promise to lead follow-up. Every time I set an appointment, I'm going to show up. That's a promise. Just look for those opportunities. If I say I'm going to be at a meeting at 10, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to be prepared, right? Don't show up out of breath, not ready. If you're going to waste my time, I'd prefer you not to show up, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to show up, be prepared. Just write down 1 through 10. And I promise all of a sudden these 1 through 10s are going to start showing up for you. And here's another promise. You're not going to be able to keep all of them. Even you may be well-intended, but you're not going to be able to keep all of them. So maybe another promise to yourself is when I don't keep a promise, I promise to make amends of some degree. I don't know. But what I want you to do is to leave this call today with the idea that small little promises, opportunities to make a promise is where you win. And if you're looking for them, if you're on the, because what we're looking for is an opportunity to sell ourselves to somebody else and ourselves and deliver on that. Because I know this, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, all of a sudden I'm sitting up a little, my confidence is a little bit bigger. I'm like, oh, look at me, right? When I change the light bulb, oh, look at me, Mr. Handyman, right? All these things, I start to get a little broader and stronger, okay? So I think it's a big thing. And I think we can all benefit from being aware of tiny little things that we can do that make oversized results.
Yeah.
You got anything on that, Mark? Take us through this.
No, hey, it's the simple disciplines repeated over time that compound into success.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about who you're becoming in that process. And that's what shines through. And
you know what you're going to find yourself doing? You might be not committing to things that you can't do. That's a good one too, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you need to be saying no more so that your yeses matter.
So the yeses matter. Destiny, what do you got as final thought on it?
I would say my final thought is be okay with kind of tweaking your habits a little bit. I had to have a meeting with my team lead yesterday. We're in the fourth quarter. Hey, I want to finish strong. I've got to tweak some things so that I can be just as fierce as I was in these previous quarters. So be okay with taking a step back and rearranging some things so that you can be persistent.
Love it. Julie, got anything to add on that?
Two things. One, I've heard this from more than one brilliant person who I admire. One of them is William McRaven, who was an amazing Navy SEAL and captain of ships. And he wrote a book called Make Your Bed. And it's about starting with small habits and getting your day started off right. And Dr. Jordan Peterson, same thing, 12 rules for life. And I think the first one is make your bed. And the reason why it's make your bed is because that's the first success of the day, and you can feel good about yourself, and your confidence grows and your motivation grows. So then the other thing is I just heard, and I think I told you guys this the other day, Carrie Lorenz, who was the first fighter pilot, her suggestion, each Post-it notes, and write on those 3 Post-it notes the 3 things that you're going to get done today, and start small, 20 minutes of something, but 3 Post-it notes that are going to move the needle the most for your success today or in the future. 3 little Post-it notes, write down what you're going to do and get those 3 things done.
And then do them. Those are 3 promises to yourself. All right. So quick review. These little promises, look for the opportunity. Number 1, look for the opportunity. Where can I make a promise that I can keep? Because when I do that, it builds me up and it makes me look like a hero in the eyes of whoever's receiving on the receiving end. Even if you say you're going to be there 5 and you show up at 5, it's amazing. Not 5:05, not 5:15, not just showing up, but you show up at 5 and you show up ready. It's such a big thing. It gives confidence. It gives admiration. It gives respect. It gets all those things. And when you have that going on, you're going to get more business. You're going to be able to charge more for your business and all the things that go with it. So when you leave here today, just sit down with yourself for 10 minutes and write down 10 things that you're going to start looking for. You're going to make yourself aware. Where's the opportunity? It's appointments, it's lead gen, it's wherever it is for you. And then subconsciously, now that you know, you're going to start thinking about them, and they're going to show up, and you're going to start living up. How great is that going to be? It's going to be cool. All right, guys, that's what I got. Let's go to work. I promise I'll be here tomorrow. See ya.
Bye, guys.